Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Star Wars Legends Podcast, Episode 7. I'm Jeremy from Stupid Chainsaw Productions, and here we have John Tuttle.
Also known as Dylan.
And we got Brian today, also a member of the Alliance and other such groups. So we'll begin this podcast with how Brian got into the EU, since he's new, and that's what I do on here.
Well, Jeremy, it's a long story, but I'm going to cut it short anyway. Basically, I was at my cousin's house, and he was playing a video game on his computer at the time, and it was a Star Wars game, and I didn't recognize it. It was Dark Forces, and that was basically my initial introduction to it, which led me to go to the library and check out to see if there were any books. I found the Dark Forces novelization book, if you want to call it a novelization. But next to it was the Backdoor X-Wing book, and that was actually my first Star Wars novel. It was the fourth book of the X-Wing series.
Go figure. That happens sometimes, man. Well, it's good to have you. We got Lacey in the background, her introduction to this channel.
Actually turned around. I am shocked.
I know, she's actually coming to see me. Anyway, so let's get into it. Let's talk some Armada. Dylan has a little gripe with Fantasy Flight.
I wouldn't call it a gripe.
So does my phone.
That was amazingly timed, by the way.
Yes,
man.
Yes, Lord likes his timing.
I wouldn't say gripe, more of I'm disappointed in this current wave. Now, if you haven't been following it, they announced Wave 3 of Star Wars Armada, which is going to include 2 new expansions, the Gallifrey Transport and the I don't know what it's called, but it's like basically the troop carrier from Star Wars Rebels as the Imperial one. And it's going to be like, there are new types of ships called flotillas, which aren't that strong in game, but give buffs to your other ships. And it's starting up this new concept in the game of, you don't just have warships, you have ships giving your other ships buffs you have to protect, which I do like that aspect of the game. And I don't like the fact that stuff from the new canon is ending up in Armada. I knew this would happen eventually, and honestly, I'm just not going to buy that set anyway, so doesn't take me off this.
I maintain your best option in this is going to be buying 2 of the Gallifrey Transport sets. That way
I'm already going to buy 2.
See? Well, okay, fine. You've already got yourself covered there. Maybe you just buy a 3rd one then.
Jeez, I don't know.
Problem.
Go on,
My
Dylan.
major problem with, if you're on Star Wars Reviewers, you've probably seen this post already, was the fact that all we're getting in this wave is 2 ships. And this is coming off of Wave 1 when we got 5 ships, 3 which were included in the core game, and 2 additional ships. Wave 2, we got 5 ships and 2 squadron packs. Wave 2, we also get 4 ships and 1 squadron pack. 2 of the ships being of a new size class, which evolved the game further, but also giving us some of the ships the old size class to expand on the game mechanics which are already in play, as well as another squadron pack which gives both more roles to the squadrons and gives more options to the roles which already exist. Right. So adding in the new elements to the game while adding more of the old elements. Well, in Wave 3, it seems like all we're getting is new elements, but we're not getting anything to add to the old. And this wave is really bare bones. I'm actually disappointed in Fantasy. As much as I hate to say it, I'm really disappointed. I think they dropped the ball on this wave. Yeah. I wish there was more. And I know there can be more, because if you look at Armada's sister game, X-Wing, I mean, they're on their 10th expansion right now, and they have so many starfighters that they've already made they already have models for. They already have stats for. They've already shown that they take basically the X-Wing stats and just apply them for Armada. They can do this. I know they have it in them, but we're just not seeing enough of it. And that's what upsets me the most. But yeah, that's my first impressions of Wave 3 of Armada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was only those two things being added into that wave. That seems a little bit spare bones. You're right about that.
It's almost like they're just being really, really, really lazy, and they're only focusing on X-Wing, because X-Wing's got a ton of stuff right now. X-Wing really capitalized on Force Awakens, like to the point where the core game actually changed, and it's now only Force Awakens ships.
Well, no, it's not. It's not changed. They updated it, so there's new rules. There's new rules and new components to X-Wing, which you can only get in the Force Awakens new core set with the Force Awakens ships. The old games are still compatible with X-Wing, but there are new rules involved to make the Force Awakens ships work. It's kind of it's interesting, but yeah, you can use the old Expanded Universe sets with the Force Awakens sets. So, for all you true Legends believers, you can make a wing of all Star Wars Expanded Universe ships and just completely destroy all the Disney canon ships that are coming out.
Because let's face it, that's what you should do.
Well,
Right.
Segueing into new canon pilots, let's talk about the new Marvel series that comes out on Wednesday. Poe Dameron's getting his own series. It's actually happening. Whether this is going to actually continue to be an ongoing, like Kanan, the Last Padawan, or it's going to go the 5-issue mini route that almost all of the Star Wars series have gone because they don't do well, it remains to be seen. But the pre-orders for this are out there. It's crazy. This is probably the most successful comic pre-order they've had in a long while.
At least since Star Wars 1, with all 600 variant copies covers that they had.
So I'm going to be picking this up. I'm going to see if this is actually worth your time and
So
money.
why do you think it is that it's so much more popular than the rest of their stuff they come out with recently?
Because people are sick of Rebellion era stuff.
So it's
They're
something from this
sick
new
of it.
era that they've been building up so long, and nothing else really has been. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what's been going on lately, it's a combination of the Marvel era stuff, with the exception of the miniseries Anakin and Obi-Wan and Anakin, and Kanan the Last Padawan. They're all Rebellion era. They all take place in that, and between episodes 4 and 5. And on top of that, the new Star Wars Battlefront game takes place in that era. And
Makes me wonder if this doesn't bode well for the upcoming movie release that Disney has, since that's also going to be technically Rebellion era. That's not necessarily something people are
I
interested
think it's just
in.
people want to know how we. I mean, we had last year the quote-unquote Road to Force Awakens, which just turned out to be
Journey.
more. Yeah, the Journey to the Force Awakens, which just happened to be like. I mean, we got Aftermath, which was a little bit after Return of the Jedi, and from what you said, kind of sets it up. Of course, the trilogy isn't out yet, so we don't know where that's going. But and a bunch of other stuff that doesn't really
More
build
young
from.
adult novels out of that don't really explain anything. We got Shattered
So I'm wondering if-
Empire, which is about Poe Dameron's parents, which I didn't even catch on to that. Because their names are mentioned once in issue 1. And then never mentioned again by the last names. And that was really tacked on. And yeah, and then we have the C-3PO one-shot that has been being pushed back for a while. It should have come out last week. Should have came out. And it didn't. And so I don't know if that's ever going to come out. And it's going to explain how C-3PO got his red arm.
Okay.
But also in other news, comic related, Rogue One prequel comic coming out. Nothing else on it. It's coming out in the fall.
Okay.
Like with Rogue One, they're not saying anything about it.
So, but what's the release on the movie? Release date on the
December.
movie? December. So this is supposed to come out before the movie then.
Yes.
Do you think they'll delay the novelization again, like they did with Force
I don't even know if
Awakens?
there'll be a novelization.
Really?
It would seem like
That
a
would be
waste
interesting.
to me.
I don't think they think this is going to be a good movie. I think they think this is a dud, and that's why we haven't gotten any marketing for it at all.
That, or they're letting the market settle down a little bit because they did oversaturate everything, basically, leading up into the Force Awakens. It was everywhere, so maybe people are just needing a break from Star Wars for a bit.
Yeah.
Right. I
And
mean, in
let's-
the old the classic days, we had 3 years between each movie.
Now we have a movie a year. People are going to be fucking sick of it.
Also, in new canon news, Del Rey announced that there's going to be an Ahsoka novel post Clone Wars, but pre Rebels.
That's so disgusting. I mean, I think we all know my opinion of Ahsoka, but let's talk shit about the Clone Wars real quick since we're doing a podcast. I fucking hate the Clone Wars. I wish it would die. I want to urinate on every copy of the Clone Wars I see. I want to urinate on Filoni's stupid fedora.
He has cowboy hat.
So
It's
Joey,
close.
what
It might
you're
as well be a
telling me
fedora
is-
than a neck-bearded asshole.
what you're telling me is you feel quite strongly about this.
I fucking hate it. Alright. I hate that Ahsoka's in Rebels. I hate that. I hate that she's like the most competent person in Rebels, but she's a failed Padawan. Why is it that their characters are so fucking competent, but they
Do you
are
watch
only
Rebels?
Padawans? Kaden was a Padawan. Ahsoka was a Padawan that was snarky and stupid and was not funny ever.
Do you watch Rebels, by the way?
I've watched maybe 3 episodes.
All right, so you haven't seen the season finale then?
There's 2 more episodes than I watched.
Oh,
They're drunken blurs of annoying.
yeah, the season finale numbers haven't out, but I'm keeping up with my Rebels ratings. Basically, I don't know if since the last time I've updated it, every episode is getting between like a .46 and a .61.
Jesus Christ. That's worse than the first season.
And if you guys don't know, I actually have a document where I keep track of the ratings that Clone Wars got and the ratings that Rebels is getting, just as a straight comparison. I've been keeping up with. Yeah, everything since my last update has been between a 4.8 and a. Oh, actually, they got a 6.8 once. Yeah, it's been. Meanwhile, Clone Wars Season 2, the first episode got a 2.58. Second episode got a 2.58. The third episode got a 2.8. Yeah. We still don't have the season.
So judging by how Jeremy feels about the Clone Wars, and comparatively speaking on the ratings, I don't even want to know what he thinks about Rebels if you were to watch Rebels more than 3
I
episodes.
can't watch it sober.
You can't, okay, so you can't even watch it sober. Okay, that's a
At
good
least the
start.
Clone Wars I could suffer through it sober. Rebels I can't because the animation is worse. I didn't think that was possible. The animation, Stormtroopers,
stylized?
it's like they're all Gumbies. Not talking shit about Gumby, but I mean, they all move like Gumby. Even the Stormtroopers that shouldn't move like Gumby move like Gumby. The human body does not work that way. They wibble and they wobble and they bend and they have space diapers. I mean, the
They
list
say
goes
true
on.
that.
True dat. Bigots. Shit, I lost my train of thought.
Sounds good. You're still on the right track.
There was one part of I don't even know. I think it was either the beginning of season 2 or end of season 1. Vader shows up and he beats up everyone, and I was fine with that. Although Vader looked like the Ralph McQuarrie concept art.
Which
Why?
they seem to really fallen in love with, at Disney.
It's not even like a good version of the Ralph McQuarrie art, because if you read Tales of the Jedi, a lot of it ends up looking similar to the Ralph McQuarrie art. near the end of it. I use a lot of Ralph McQuarrie's designs for Yavin 4. And that's nice. It looks nice. Rebels doesn't look nice. I mean, they have the concept art for Chewbacca, and it's now a species in Star Wars. I don't know why, but it is now. Yeah. Overall, all in all, don't watch Rebels.
Apparently, they killed off Ahsoka in the season finale.
Hooray!
Or
good.
It's not really. It's speculating. Basically, I actually saw the scene, but like it's Ahsoka versus Vader, and like Ahsoka force pushes Urza out, and like the chamber closes, and they fly away, and the chamber they're in explodes, and that's Ahsoka's death.
It probably isn't.
It probably isn't, but people are like,
I doubt he would kill her.
No, he'll kill her.
And there's people. There's one camp people saying that she's dead. There's another camp that's saying they're just gonna Darth Maul her, and then she's gonna be back later
with robot legs. Maybe she'll have robot hair.
If she was a Twi'lek, would she have robot Leku?
Yeah. Right there.
Wait, what are the things on the Grutons called again? What are those called?
I don't know.
They're head tendrils. Anyway, this is getting really nerdy right now.
Yes, it is. What's wrong with that? Viewers. Am I not in the right place?
Oh God! So do we segue into what we're reading?
I think we should segue into this first.
Oh, that's right. Oh God, damn! It's finally here. So, our good buddy Dennis has officially gotten a printing of Heart of the Jedi out. Not just in paperback, but in hardcover as well. He's been working on this for a while, and people just keep on, shitting on his parade on Lulu. So
there was original link. There was original link up that he shared, and then it got taken down. So we now have subsequent links, but we're not sure how long they're going to last. So get them while they're hot. And also, in case you were wondering, he did take the time to add in Heart of the Jedi within the timeline. Wait, where is it? There it is.
And that will be, once I get that, I'm going to be reviewing that next.
I'll look forward to that.
And then, for those of you who don't know, Heart of the Jedi was an unpublished Bantam novel, which was supposed to be essentially Truce of Bakura, or not Truce of Bakura, but like the first story after Return of the Jedi. It was supposed to be
Truce of Bakura, but Kathy had a better relationship with the editor than Kenneth C. Flint did.
And they basically forgot about him until like he emailed like hey what, or sent him like hey what's going on? They're like oh we're not doing the book, and he sat on it for years until Joe Bongiorno at StarWarsTimeline.net got a hold of it, and he's edited it. He's edited it to fit into the continuity, the Legends continuity, Expanded Universe continuity. So this fits perfectly within the timeline, or so I've heard. I haven't actually read it yet, but everyone who's read it says it fits.
I'm excited. Yeah, I really am excited. I got a hardcover, just to let you guys know, of course.
Right, I mean, just look at this cover. I mean, doesn't it speak to you?
Yeah.
Look, I can even make a note.
Oh my God. Dave Filoni's creaming his pants right now. So let's segue into what we're reading.
Well, hopefully nothing about that.
Let's start with Brian. What are you reading?
I am in the middle of my reread of the New Jedi Order series. I think I'm approaching. When did I just finish? Agents of Chaos 2. So I'm approaching. What's the next story in the series?
Balance Point.
Balance Point. Yeah, I'm approaching Balance Point on that one then.
Speaking of Kathy Tires.
It's been a while since I actually read the New Jedi Order because I read it as they were released originally. That was my junior high through high school senior year. The last book was released in my senior year. So it was quite the ride for me. It didn't feel like 19 books at the time. It was always, okay, when's the next book coming out? Give me the next book. I need to know what's happening next. So it's been kind of interesting doing a reread. I've actually had to take breaks in between them. One of my next break books in between these New Jedi Order books is actually going to be the Darth Plagueis book because I haven't read it yet. It's still sitting on my nightstand, and I got it.
And if you don't know, that's actually Jeremy's least favorite book. That's like the Crystal Star of Matt Wilson's Crystal Star.
Everybody I know loved that book, though. So I don't know. I got to give it a fair chance.
Warwick for president. He'll make
the galaxy great again.
Right? He's gonna build a wall around Disneyland, and he's gonna make Bob Iger pay for it. Look, great at making deals.
Just gained a viewer.
He is great at making deals, and those are deals that he's not gonna alter any further. Anyway, back to what we're reading.
Yeah, so what are you guys reading?
Dylan, what you reading? Because you're the one who reads the most, actually, out of all of us of the EU.
Well, it's not really what I'm reading. I just finished Legacy of the Force Bloodlines, so I'll be starting up Legacy of the Force Tempest tomorrow.
Oh, dude. So Dylan, as soon as he finished Betrayal, he calls me up and he's like, Jeremy, how'd you read this without reading any other EU? I'm like, it was difficult, so I read Vector Prime, and then I went further.
That's like being like, hey, I'm just gonna watch The Deathly Hallows Part 1. I'm not even gonna watch any or read any of their Harry Potter books, but I should be good, right? No? Okay.
Actually,
I'm just gonna start with Return of the King. Yeah, I'll be fine.
Story. My grandfather, not the one that just passed away, my grandmother's her current husband, he went with us to see Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, not knowing what Harry Potter even was. And he hated it, and he's not watched one ever since.
Well, I guess that happens if you jump in the middle of the action.
So what are you reading, Jeremy?
Oh, geez. I'm kind of not reading anything EU. I started Luke Skywalker and the Shadow of Mindor, and I don't like it at all. I talked about this on Tuesday Treadmill Talks. I just can't get into it because Matthew Stover writes the most convoluted space battles imaginable and takes a whole page to explain what a TIE advance is when you could just explain it in one paragraph. He's so freaking wordy that I don't like reading it. And someone's thinking, oh, books are full of words, Jeremy. Oh, you fucking dumbass. You retard. And I'm like, hold the phone, bitch. Hold the fucking phone. Alright. It's just so hard to get into. I was enjoying the introduction, and then Chapter 1 began, and I've just kind of stopped reading it. So, new canon-wise, I've been suffering through Marvel, Star Wars, and Darth Vader. I've just finished issue 10 of both of the series, and I must say the changes they're making to characters are really stupid. Boba Fett is evil. He is straight up incredibly sadistic for no apparent reason. He's just an ass. You know how Boba Fett, he just didn't care about anything, really? He just wanted the money. Well, now Boba Fett takes pleasure in torturing people for no reason, and beating up people for no reason, and doing all these things that are nonsensical for no reason. Oh, and he and Luke have already fought. They fought in issue 6.
Okay.
Well, Luke was blind. Yeah. Luke, who has little to no Jedi training except for the few hours he had with Obi-Wan, is able to hold his own against the most notorious bounty hunter in a Mandalorian.
Well, I mean, to be fair in the new canon, Rey had absolutely no Jedi training at all, and she was able to hold her own against a Sith Lord.
That's not a Sith Lord, he's a Knight of Ren. You gotta get that right. We can't use George Lucas terms here.
Okay. See, I haven't even seen the movie. I'm just going off
That
what I
Knight
hear.
of Revan or Knight of Ren? That one is still not clear to me.
Oh, jeez. Other weird things. Han Solo's kind of life is really, 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 really annoying, and is officially the worst Star Wars character ever written.
Even worse than Kara Holt.
Yes, even worse than Kara Holt, because Kara Holt is boring, but this character's boring and annoying. And it's supposed to be a comic relief character, but ends up being kind of like a Jar Jar Binks. I'm shocked he didn't step in the poopy.
Yeah.
Luke
moments where I
goes
think-
to Nar Shaddaa, which is now canon and new canon. I like how they took the Smuggler's Moon and they made that canon. Because he wants to go to the Jedi Temple in Coruscant. Oh, he leaves the Rebellion to do this. He's no longer part of the Rebellion.
Right.
He quit his military service. Just like that. And he takes one of their X-Wings. Even though the Rebel Alliance is on the run and needs all the tech they can get, they let him have an X-Wing in R2-D2.
Okay.
Oh, and so because he gets kidnapped by a Hutt naturally, who collects
Okay.
Jedi artifacts.
Who else kidnaps people? I mean, come on.
Oh, and this Hutt has robot legs.
Right.
Legs. Okay.
And to make matters worse, so because C-3PO and Chewbacca haven't been doing anything because the Millennium Falcon got really damaged because Darth Vader tried to use the Force on it or something stupid. No, it was these weird tentacle monsters were tearing it apart while Darth Vader chopped off the foot of an AT-AT that Han Solo and Leia were driving. And that was in issue 3 or 4.
So you're saying we should expect a can rant soon?
Oh yeah, you should see Skywalker Strikes review coming soon because someone
Okay.
got me a trade of it.
How about that Star Wars issue 3 review?
You can kiss my ass. I might as well suffer through all Skywalker Strikes. Oh, do you mean the original 1977 issue 3?
No, I mean the issue 3 that you said you would never read. You wouldn't even disgrace your toilet by flushing it down.
Are you talking about the Dark Horse Star Wars by Brian Wood? Because I already reviewed that issue 3. I reviewed that several years ago now. Dylan, I just don't know what you're talking about, and I don't want to know. But anyway, so Darth Vader, meanwhile, is interwoven in this. He's just figured out that Luke is his son.
Okay.
But now he has his own special team because no one trusts him anymore because he kind of Emperor blamed him for blowing up the Death Star, so it's pretty much EU again.
I'm reminded of that Robot Chicken skit.
Yeah. But now he has a special team that consists of an archaeologist named Alpha who has a nice butt and kind of no personality at all except for she's kind of slightly Deadpool but can't reform. And no, that's not a raccoon, that's my cat. She walks like a raccoon, but it's the cat. But a protocol droid that is fluent in not only etiquette and protocol, but also torture, that acts just like C-3PO. And an astromech droid that's also a weapon of mass destruction. Oh, and now he has an army of elite battle droids reminiscent of Filoni's Clone Wars.
Right.
That's his private army. But he finds out that the Emperor has come out with more Grievous type assassins rather than having more Emperor's hands or Inquisitors. They have this cyborg makes these assassins that can use technology to enhance their force powers, I think. It doesn't make any sense how they explained it. That's how the first arc ends, and now Vader is being babysat by this guy who has a monocle That's his character, which the monocle makes him smart.
Oh, okay.
He's really competent because he has a monocle. I'm pretty sure that's the reasoning. They don't say that. Monocle, and I'm not talking about space monocle like Chuck Wendig would give someone. Mm-hmm. It's just a monocle. Because I guess glasses exist in Star Wars now.
Okay.
Right.
He has a monocle. Oh, that one guy that Darth Vader choked out is she's over there. He is his boss now. You remember the guy he choked out in the original Star Wars? Well, it's his boss. Isn't that funny, guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't think so. And sorry, the family's home. Anyway, that's pretty much what I've been reading. Let's wrap it up with some questions.
Well, we got a few questions. First question is coming from Dark Snovia. He says, what is the best way to read the new canon? Because it's hard for me to read and because it's so shitty.
Drunk.
I would say don't.
Yeah, that's actually the best answer.
I haven't been reading any new canon, and I'm still maintaining some semblance of my sanity, so...
Yeah, I think that's probably the best answer. Just don't. And if you're an absolute sadist, I suppose you can listen to somebody who has read it, and that could be it for you.
Well, I'll read it for you, because some of it is actually pretty entertaining.
So it's like the Clone Wars. It's like 15 to 20% good quality stories. Yeah. And then the rest is just like, why?
They call it the Filoni standard.
Okay.
Got it. I knew there was.
By the way, that 15-20% is on a good day.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Brian?
Beyond that, no. I think you guys got it pretty covered. Just glad to have the industry standard term added to my vocabulary for this Filoni standard.
And speaking of Filoni, Darth Beard asks, besides Filoni and the Rebels nonsense, what are your favorite and least favorite parts of the original trilogy and the prequels?
Oh, jeez. I can do the prequels right now. My favorite parts are... I'm going to cheat with this one. When the EU made sense of some of the really bad writing in the prequels, and you're like, oh, that makes more sense. The worst part of the prequels is Jar Jar Binks, by far. And a lot of poor little Jake Lloyd's dialogue in Episode 1. Yeah. Original trilogy, the best parts are pretty much all of it.
Cop-out answer.
The worst parts, though... I'm getting the whole Ewoks thing, but I know Matt will kill me if I say that. No, actually, I want to see the special editions and the unnecessary changes, but also the weird continuity errors that you see when you see it 20 times, like, oh, there's a bush there and now there's not a bush. Mm-hmm. Or when I think the thing that makes me cringe, the only thing that makes me cringe in those is when suddenly Carrie Fisher puts on a British accent in one scene while talking to Tarkin before they blow up Alderaan. She talks a different way as opposed to how she talks through the rest of the trilogy.
Interesting. I never noticed that.
Yeah, you'll
that can be attributed to the fact that Imperials. There seems to be an Imperial dialect, which is what we in our universe know as the British dialect. It could be that she's just used to talk to Imperials in that way, or through something that's just how she talks to Imperials.
Yeah, I can see that slipping in. It's not too hard to explain.
By the way, this is my campaign for Leland G's job, just trying to fix all these retcons. Fix all these
you had some really good ones for the Clone Wars.
Who, me?
Yeah, you came up with some good ones. Even though Fantasy Flight technically retconned the whole thing.
Anyway, my least favorite parts for both are easy. My least favorite part is pretty much the beginning of Attack of the Clones, because it's a whole lot of nothing that kind of happens.
Until the speeder chase. Yeah, that's...
Well, no, not even that. The speeder chase is okay, but even that doesn't really have a point. It's really up until Obi-Wan gets to Kamino that the plot really starts rolling, and from then on, it's an okay movie. But really, the first part of the Clone Wars is difficult for me to get through. Whenever I watch the Star Wars movies, it's difficult to get through that, and the part of that I'm going to get to when I get to the original trilogy. There's also another difficult part to get through, but best part of the prequel trilogy, I'm going to say this: the final half of Episode 3, just because of all the closure that you get, or not really closure, but all the loose ends, or all the essentially, you know everything that's going to happen going into Episode 3. I think.
Yeah.
Unless you're watching it for some reason in timeline order, 90% of Star Wars fans going into Episode 3 knew what was going to happen at the end. But to actually see it unfold...
It does tie pretty well to Episode 4.
Right. It's a very rewarding the first time you see it. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my favorite parts of the prequels. Now, going to the original trilogy, again, my least favorite part was the middle portion of Return of the Jedi, from about after the planning stage, the Endor battle, to when the battle begins. Because again, it's a whole lot of nothing. Not really much happens. It's just that drives the. It's just like, okay, there's this big battle coming, and let's just do nothing for like 40 minutes until we get to the battle.
Captured by the Ewoks and all that.
Yeah, it's. I get why it's there, and I do enjoy it, but in the whole grand scheme of things, not much really happens that's important. And I can't think of in the original trilogy an extended period of time that's long that exists.
You got to move pieces into place for the ending.
Right.
That's really
right, but it's
maneuvering all the pieces into place.
Right, but I just felt like you could have done all that in a shorter period of time.
Probably.
And the best part would have to be the Battle of Yavin, just because it's such an iconic scene in not only Star Wars but in really film in general.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
I get that.
They won an Oscar for that.
They won several Oscars. I think they won 8 or 9.
They got nominated for 8 or 9. I think they only won.
They won a few.
Yeah,
they won a lot. They didn't win Best Picture, and they didn't win Best Picture.
And
they won a bunch of others.
So it was least favorite and favorite parts for each trilogy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so original trilogy. Actually, let's just go prequel. Prequel trilogy least favorite thing would be Episode 2, specifically the romance writing was forced, not done well. You could have done so much better.
You mean you didn't like the sand metaphor?
No. None of that was done well. I've seen some very bad anime that's been done better than that in their plot lines. But favorite part for the prequel trilogy would be the lightsaber choreography. For the most part, was pretty great. Entertaining to watch, high energy. Kind of conveyed the feel of the Jedi Order as it was supposed to be in its prime, versus the Sith as they're coming out of their long hidden stage. For the original trilogy, least favorite is not. I really don't have like a real least favorite portion for the original trilogy. There are some changes that they did in the special editions and the later editions that I didn't like too much, but not one in particular that really kills anything to me. Favorite It would definitely be the. I love the space battle in Episode 6. It's what made it my favorite of all the movies. Was the space battle in Episode 6.
Yeah, I love that too.
All the characters and how they're interacting, and I just think it was done pretty well.
All right. And then the final question we have is from the Geeks Addict. He asks, can we no longer discuss Crystal Star? It makes my blood pressure rise.
I gotta come out and say that's just not possible because Waru for president.
Yeah.
Right.
You already heard our pitch for Waru.
Mm-hmm. And just a tease here, but we're actually going to do our next podcast. We're going to do a 5-hour straight Waru Fest. We're just going to talk all about Waru and
we're going to be
how great he is.
Crystal Star at least twice.
Right. In fact, we're actually going to just do. We're just going to do a live. We're just going to do a live reading of it. In fact, we're going to go over all the highlights. All 6 of them.
So that's why you guys are looking for voice actors.
Yeah, actually, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make Waru out of jelly.
Mm-hmm. You literally just take it out of the container, and then you make Luke. Then you make Luke dive into it. I can't even remember why he dived into it. Oh yeah, it was to save someone that got eaten by it or something. And then there was an end, and there was an end that was sucking him too, and he didn't want to go. He was trying to fight, but save the person or whatever. Man, just like Planet of Twilight. I read that book. I just don't remember anything about it.
I read so long ago. I don't either.
Oh. Is that it? Are we done now?
And until next week when we have Waru Fest. Right. It seriously is the best novel. I mean, how it didn't win all the awards, and I mean it was a New York Times bestseller. You can't deny that.
Yeah, well,
I mean, look at only quality books.
I'm pretty sure it
only
didn't wobble.
Right, but seriously, only quality books ever make it to the New York Times bestseller list. I mean, have you read Aftermath?
Yeah.
Clearly, that is the standard by which we must judge ourselves on.
Right. It's a prestigious list of only the finest pieces of literary work.
And only
mainly just
think that.
Right, exactly.
And that's why they're collecting dust in my Barnes & Noble.
How's that viewer? Did we lose him yet?
No, we still got a viewer. Anyway, guys, have a nice day. It's been fun recording tonight. We should do this again in about 2 months.
Right. These are almost coming out as infrequently as Minox Nest.
And none of us are in the military. Oh, spoilers. Tristan's gone. I'm sorry. But, Brian, it was nice to have you. Hopefully we have Bill on. Unfortunately, Bill couldn't make it because his computer is actually worse than mine.
Yeah, well, Bill's a huge advocate for Waru for president, so he would have loved to chime in there.
Yeah.
How do we have 3 likes and 2 dislikes? Is Elizabeth Tops watching this now?
Oh, yeah. Edward, go away. Please.
Okay, anyway, so we've hit our quota. Okay, good.
Bye.
Bye.